wanted to take a few minutes to rant a little bit about the notion of awareness. To me, you know, this whole concept of awareness and an emphasis on becoming aware of the things that are going on, you know, in your environment, in your world, and that kind of thing. It's a really important concept. I mean, for me, you know, I think about it in terms of in Blackfoot, this notion of akakyos, which is, you know, being really highly aware of all the goings on in your environment, kind of like a magpie or a crow might be. You know, they know, they've got their eye on everything that's going on. They kind of, you know, they know where the dangers are. They're keeping track of the dangers. They know where the opportunities are. They're keeping track of those. Anything that new that enters the environment, they notice it right away. They're just highly aware of everything that's going on around them, and they're engaged with that environment and responding to it. And responding, you know, is a key. I think it's a key to. I mean, that's part of akakyosin is a response, I feel. But in, you know, the popular discourse in North America right now, I hear the term awareness being tossed around quite a bit. It kind of reminds me of maybe like 15 years ago or something, 15, 20 years ago, the big thing was, the big buzzword was ignorant, right? So people were always talking about how some other group person or some other group or whatever was just ignorant of whatever, and so the big thing was not to be ignorant. And then, so you combat ignorance by developing awareness, right? Or building awareness, or delivering awareness, giving awareness. I'm making somebody aware of something. You know, and I'm aware myself, right? So the awareness has become, I mean, I don't know if it's this way all over the place, but certainly where I am, I hear this concept being thrown around all the time, and especially recently, last couple of years, because you know, I got a lot of friends and family that are really concerned about some of the things that are going on in our world in terms of the environment, and also in terms of, you know, relationships between indigenous people and colonizers. And so, you know, there was the Occupy protests the other year, and which just kind of like barely touched on environment, barely touched on you know, indigenous plights and such. It was more about the discrepancies in wealth between sections of the population, that kind of thing. But in any case, you know, I had friends and family that were really involved in Occupy, and those that weren't were still talking about it quite a bit, and there was a debate over whether or not it's actually doing anything. And so, you know, the big thing was, well, it's raising awareness. It's raising awareness. And so, you know, now this year is the big protest movement is Idle No More, and you know, which is directly in relation to those colonial dynamics and the environment. Because what Idle No More is about, for those that are not aware, is that the Canadian Prime Minister is attempting to push a bill through Parliament that has a whole, it's a giant bill. It's like it's like a encyclopedia-sized bill that lumps all kinds of his, conservative interests together including disenfranchising First Nations of their land, including giving industrial developers, access to whatever they want, including getting rid of the protections for most of our waters in Canada, the environmental protections. I mean, it's just a nasty, nasty set of interests represented in this one giant bill. And so it's something that I'm myself totally against. And yet, Idle No More, which is the protest that's arisen around this bill, is not something that I really participate in. And in fact, I even talk critically about it, because I've come to understand that these protests, they don't really work, and it was made really clear during the Occupy thing. Because if any protest was ever going to work, this could be Occupy, because Occupy was huge. There were so many people involved in Occupy, and it didn't do anything. They were occupying these urban spaces for as long as they could. It was interesting in the beginning, and then it got tedious, and then finally the mayors are like, all right, we're gonna send in the cops and get these guys out of here because we want our parks back to just being parks. And so then there was all kinds of dynamics with the police abusing people, and which I don't agree with. The police doing what they did, but I know that's one of their functions. One of their functions is to maintain the relationship between the state and its public. And if you are a part of that public and you think the government and industry and shit is working for you, you're mistaken. You're just a battery. You're just a cog for them. They grow people in the suburbs just like they grow crops in the farms. The same patterns, the same layouts, and you're just an energy source for them. So if you're using your energy subversively, there's a little bit of room for that. And I see like protests, I see them as they're basically like pressure valves, right? So that things don't really boil over and nothing real subversive happens. People have been groomed through the through the protests of the 1960s all the way up to today, to think that if you got a problem with something, this is the way you handle it. You don't get violent. You don't do anything illegal. But you're gonna have a peaceful protest. You're gonna have a peaceful protest, and you're gonna stand up for whatever it is that you're standing up for. And really, what that does is that takes that energy that you have, that you want to put against whatever it is that you're against, and it funnels it towards something that's very, very safe for the military-industrial governance complex, and so they allow it, for a little bit, but then, like we saw with Occupy, if it continues for too long, then it gets tedious, and then they're just going to shut it down. They're going to shut it down, and they're going to lock people up, get them, criminal records and stuff, and people will be, crying about it's not fair, and the cops are, abusing me, and take it all to the courts, get it off of the streets, and that's that. So I don't see these protests as very useful at all. I see them as just another form of participating in that military-industrial governance complex. So I think if you want to break out of the matrix and such, then you gotta do something different. And so I've been criticizing Idle No More, and I criticize Occupy too, but Idle No More is a little bit closer to home, because a good number of people that I'm very close with are really involved in Idle No More. So it's more closer to home, and people are like, "Why are you criticizing us? Why aren't you on board and supporting us for this?" And it's not that I'm not supporting the cause. The cause is everything that I'm behind, but it's the strategy. And I think the protest, the familiar protest kind of strategy is not useful. And when I express this, I say it's not useful. We need different strategy, and I do have ideas for strategies, and I've been employing them myself. But in any case, when I express it strategically, the protests are not working, then what they come back with at me is, but look what we're doing. We're building awareness of the issues, and that's step number one. So we're accomplishing something. And it just hit me last night that awareness has become a real, in a sense, a real dangerous concept here, because to me, what people are doing in building awareness is not being very effective either. I mean, yeah, you have to have awareness of something before you're going to do anything about it to make any changes. But a lot of people are just stopping at the awareness. And in fact, I think, what's going on is that people feel like the awareness, either being aware themselves or spreading awareness, is such a big accomplishment that that's enough. And it's not enough. You might as well not even raise awareness, because nothing's changing. It's not the big accomplishment. People are like, all right, well, I've raised awareness about this environmental problem. I'm raising awareness. I'm out here. I'm like handing out leaflets, or I'm out here like shouting around in public and this kind of thing. And I'm getting the word out there. I'm bringing awareness to the issue, kind of a thing. And so that's that's my contribution. I've done something. Now I'm gonna go shop at Walmart. That's how it feels to me. Is that raising awareness is it's basically another pressure valve. And I feel like that whole military-industrial governance complex kind of owns the concept of, they've hijacked awareness. They've hijacked it for their own purposes. Now you can spend all this energy, extend all of this energy that would be subversive if you actually did something practical with it. But instead, you're out there raising awareness, and you feel like, and you've been groomed to feel like awareness is enough. Awareness is enough, and we've been groomed in that sense in many, many ways all through our lives to arrive at this point where we feel like awareness is an accomplishment. It's like people that read the newspapers and watch the news and stuff, and where they follow politics, and they're aware of all these things that are going on. They feel accomplished. They feel like they built this special knowledge. And yeah, they have, but practically it's not doing anything. It's not changing anything to have that knowledge. It's like you look at the back to the shootings in the U.S. All these shooting rampages, these suicidal shooting rampages, and awareness has been raised to the hilt. There's been Oscar-winning documentary movies about it. Everybody's aware of the issue. Everybody's aware of it. But what's being done? Nothing's being done. Obama recently is pushing some stricter gun controls on the public. But to me, that's, it's missing the point, because this is a suicide complex that's going on. That these shooting rampages are, that's what's at the heart of them. It's a pattern of suicide in the culture. So gun control or no gun control, might curb a little bit of it if it's much harder to get guns. Yeah, so I agree with that. But at the same time, it's not going to stop it, because they're not really dealing with the issue. So awareness is not enough. I mean, Al Gore put out the inconvenient truth, and trained a whole army of presenters around the world to educate people about climate science and what we're facing with global warming. And it was all, I remember the first time I saw Al Gore's presentation of An Inconvenient Truth, and it was like really startling, the big scary things that were happening. But so it was, it raised my level of awareness, and then that was it. Feel like my awareness is raised, but I didn't really do anything with that. I didn't make a lifestyle change. That's what I think has to happen, with the environmental issues and with the colonial relationships and all this stuff. Is I feel there has to be, and with the violence and this kind of thing in North America, is I think people have to make lifestyle changes, and a lot of people are unwilling to make lifestyle changes, and it's not really hard to make a lifestyle change. I mean, last year I decided I was going to start really making some changes myself, so I gave up one thing after another that I know is not good practice economically, or for the environment, or for my health, this kind of thing. I give up fast food, gave up pop, gave up cigarettes, stopped doing things, real easy things, like I'd never take a plastic bag from a merchant. I'll always use a reusable bag, or I won't use a bag at all. I won't drink out of a plastic bottle, won't buy bottled water, won't buy any drink that is contained in a plastic container. It's either got to be in glass or paper, or I'm not going to buy it. In general, I made a big shift toward eating food that's only local. I cut down my drives to work by 1 day a week. I work at home for one day a week, so that cuts down about 200 kilometers of driving for me per week. I started making all these little, minor adjustments. I started recycling. My household shoots out less than one, small kitchen garbage bag full of trash every week. So I don't even need, the garbage men to come and take my trash, except maybe, once a month or even more, or even longer. So, these little kind of changes, the lifestyle changes, they are really rather easy for people to make, the actual start of doing something practical. raising awareness is nice and everything, but it's not getting us anywhere in terms of practical, strategies against the problems that we see. So, I'm really getting concerned about this idea of the awareness and how it's being used as a pressure release and for that unsustainable way of life that we really have to do something about. Anyway, that's my rant for this morning. Be careful of the concept of awareness. Make sure that if you're going to talk about awareness, that you combine it with response, with actual practical response.